Welcome to the ZimmCast, a program dedicated to bringing you what's new in agricultural marketing. The ZimmCast is the official podcast of AgWired and hosted by Chuck and Cindy Zimmerman.
Hello and welcome to the ZimmCast. I'm Chuck Zimmerman. ZimmComm is now entering its 21st year. Who would have thought? We officially announced our company at the 2004 National Agri-Marketing Conference. We had our first booth at the conference in 2005, which means we've exhibited for 20 of them. I thought you might like to hear the first audio podcast I recorded. That was in January of 2005. We were just starting to figure out what we could do with our AgWired blog. It's a short episode, but I'm going to share some other audio after this. Hello and welcome to the first ZimmBlog podcast. At least that's what we'd like to call this. We're planning to do regular podcasts here at ZimmComm and post those through our blog. Right now, you're listening to an audio file streaming off our website, which we've posted a link to. That's what we'll probably do this week as we're redesigning our whole blog and website structure, and that's going to be all in place in the next couple weeks. So for this week, we'll just be posting some audio file links so that you can listen to reports. This week, I'll be attending the Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show. That's taking place later this week in San Antonio, Texas. So I'll be there starting Wednesday. It has a big trade show, and I'll be especially focusing on some of the activities that take place in and around that trade show, as well as the meetings and general sessions. So look for some interviews, pictures, written reports, commentary, news, just whatever I can find. I'm going to post it. I'm going to try to do it often, and I'm going to do it so that you can see how you might use a blog in your own communication strategy, whether that's with ZimmComm helping you set that up, helping you maintain that, or on your own. It's simple, it's easy, and it's an excellent, instantaneous way to communicate your message to your audience, whether that's your members or your customers. So we hope you like what you hear and see this week. We'd love your feedback. Feel free to send us an email or post a comment. Love to hear from you. Chuck Zimmerman reporting. So that was the start, and it has sure changed over the years. So let's look at this year. I was working at the Beltwide Cotton Conferences in New Orleans and thought I'd focus on the outlook for cotton. I would not be surprised if there are some changes after the presidential inauguration. But I'm going to start with Gary Adams. He's CEO of the National Cotton Council. He talks about the cotton industry outlook and then moves on to the Farm Bill. Gary, I'd like to get your thoughts on a couple of the things that you have been presenting here today. That starts with the kind of an update on the U.S. cotton industry, and then maybe move into Farm Bill. So let's get started on that first one.
All right. Now, I think if we look at the situation in the industry right now, it's tough from an economic standpoint for producers. We have seen costs that have increased substantially over the last several years. In fact, as we look at the comparing, say, this year relative to 2018, we're probably up on average about $200 per acre on cotton cost of production. At the same time, competition has increased. Brazil and Australia have larger crops now. We're continuing to see more and more polyester product come out of China. So the global fiber markets are a challenging environment. And so that's some of the things we're looking at are ways that within the industry we can try to address some of these challenges that are facing us. How can we, better incentivize demand for U.S. cotton? Are there options where we can look at ways to leverage the sustainability and traceability of U.S. cotton and hopefully add value to those brands and retailers and have them request more U.S. cotton through their supply chain? So that's certainly one of the issues that we're looking at. Also, what can we do to be more efficient in the handling and movement of our cotton into the marketing channels? So again, a number of initiatives trying to address and make us more competitive.
You had a presentation on the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. Is that a good example of the kind of work you guys are doing to help with your growers?
I think it is, and certainly we've started the protocol about 5 years ago, and that was in response to the messages we were hearing from the brands and retailers who were looking, more was being asked of them, so they were moving back down their supply chain to try to get more information about the way cotton's produced and the cotton they're sourcing. And then Trust Protocol is a great example of that because we now can give them data on aggregate data on the metrics, environmental metrics of U.S. cotton production, and seeing that smaller environmental footprint, we can also give them some traceability information through the supply chain, and that becomes more and more critical when they're having to deal with things such as the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act.
Well, let's move on to Farm Bill. How do you describe the current situation?
Yeah, obviously we're starting a new year with a new Congress and a new administration, though this will be the third year of trying to reauthorize the new Farm Bill. We'll be working on a one-year extension applies to the 25 crop that looks the same as 2024. I think when we look at where cost of production are now compared to where they were when this Farm Bill was put in place, the support levels are just not adequate, and we need to see an increase and improvement in the safety net, in an increase in those reference prices. So that's certainly one of the things that we're going to continue to work on as we go forward. We feel good, certainly, with, I think, some good friends to the cotton industry that now chair both the Senate and House Agriculture Committee. Senator John Bozeman takes over the helm of the Senate Agriculture Committee. Congressman G.T. Thompson, although not from a Cotton Belt state, has certainly been supportive of production agriculture and supportive of the cotton industry. So our message to Congress in general is, one, let them know the challenging economic circumstances that are out there, and then also stress the need to get a farm bill done for this year and hopefully get it done in time that we'd love to see it be applicable to the 25 crop, because where we finished last year was not a good place for 24. Fortunately, there was some short-term economic assistance that are going to help growers out, but longer term, we need the stability that comes with a better farm bill.
So at this point in time, with this inauguration just about to happen here after this, how quickly would you be getting in there to talk and see what folks might want to be able to do?
It's already happening, and particularly with Congress. We were in D.C. I was in D.C. just last week, meeting with some of the committee staff and just trying to get an update on the process. And I think in general, people are still trying to figure out how things will shake out, because there's a lot that will be on Congress's plate in these first, 100 days of the new administration. Still some question marks on budget reconciliation. What's the path forward there? We also don't need to forget that the continuing resolution that was approved in December funds the government through mid-March. And so that's something that's going to come up very quickly. And so you have still a lot of unknowns, but I know we've got a committee staff and committee leadership that are really looking for the opportunity to push Farm Bill to completion.
Before we close, anything else you might want to say about the work that National Cotton Council is doing?
I think the other thing, too, obviously, the industry knows the work we do on farm policy and Farm Bill. The other thing that they always need to be aware of is we continue to stay engaged on the regulatory front, and particularly engaging with Environmental Protection Agency, making sure that our growers have access to the crop protection products that they need. That's something we're going to continue to follow. We're going to continue to look for opportunities to try to, for example, restore a label for dicamba. And so that's the other set of issues that we stay engaged in from the National Cotton Council.
Following Gary is Darren Abney. He's Executive Director of the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. He talks about the last year of the program and an outlook of what's next. First of all, Darren, tell me what you do, and we'll get into kind of what's going on with the protocol.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the executive director. I've been with the organization now for a year and a half, and I'm excited about the progress that we've seen over the last year, despite all of the challenges in the industry. And I think that this next year is going to be telling for how the market responds to what the protocol is doing.
So since we've seen you last, what's happened? Have there just been certain programs that have been able to get put together, working? Just, a little overview.
I would say we've been very successful at the field level. There is a large number of growers that are signed up and enrolled in the program. We're focused on expanding the Climate Smart grant this year, working with growers on level 2, looking at practice changes, there's a financial benefit to that along with the technical assistance. But I would say organizationally, we're also hyper-focused on the demand side of the equation. We really want to equip and enable and now require retailers and brands who are participating in the program to source volumes of protocol cotton and U.S. cotton.
How about the companies that are part of of the Cotton Trust Protocol. Has that increased, for example?
We've gotten new members this year, yes. Since last year, we have had organizations join like Carhartt, I think is very recognizable in the U.S. landscape. We're working more deeply with organizations, sportswear organizations. Some of the brands that are working with us right now are asking for confidentiality because they're testing out the systems, the traceability. But we've also been hyper-focused, I would say, on getting the existing brands that are in the program to source more cotton with their supply chain. And that's working with brands like Gap and Target, who have been signed up for a few years now. But as we shift the growth model, we're really looking for that uptake to grow. And we've seen that traction. We've doubled the uptake this last year over the previous year. And we've got to see more of that this next year. And I think that the key driver behind that is generating value for U.S. growers who are participating in the program, making its way through the supply chain. And that has to come at the end.
So in the past year, have you been reaching your goals, or looking ahead, what do you think about in the future?
We have reached our goals, our internal goals that we talk about, and there's a lot of progress that we've shown demonstrated on the protocol's annual report that was released in Q4 of this last year. You can find that on the website, trustuscotton.org. And I would say that, again, the goal that we're really looking to ramp up is that demand side. So the volume of cotton that retailers and brands are claiming through their supply chain. There's a lot of challenges that we've had to overcome this last year, and I think still to overcome with education, training materials, getting the mechanics of the system clear and inside the working plans of our members, meaning that sourcing teams at retailers and brands need to be actively nominating U.S. cotton, which is a shift from how the industry has typically worked.
Before we close, anything else you want to say about the work that you're doing that we didn't touch on?
I am really excited about all of the progress that we're making with the cotton growers and the brands and the team that we have assembled in this last year too. That has been a really key focus area for me personally, is getting some experts in the team who understand the components of credibility and assurance, and just making sure we have all of our T's crossed and I's dotted, because that's really important when you think about the credibility of what the U.S. industry is bringing to the market. And I think it's going to be a great year. So I hope next year I'll have more updates on more than doubling the demand. Let's see.
And at that point, you will be an old timer, right?
Yeah. After a year and a half, I feel like there's certain days I've been here forever, and there's certain days that I just walked in the door. So yeah, I'm thrilled to be here, and thanks for the chance to chat.
You can find lots of photos as well as interviews and session audio on the Ag Newswire Virtual Ag Newsroom. I'm heading out next to San Diego for the Clean Fuels Conference, and hoping the weather doesn't cause too many travel problems. It looks like I'll just miss the mess, though. So that's the ZimmCast for this episode. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the ZimmCast, the official podcast of AgWired. Check us out at www.agwired.com to find out what's new in agricultural marketing.